We don't run a charity here. Jake Morrison's voice cuts through Brighton Auto Repair like a blade. Eleanor Hayes clutches her worn purse, watching her last $20 bill disappear back inside. Please, my brakes are failing. I just need... Lady, take your junk car somewhere else. Jake turns away, dismissing the elderly woman entirely. Kesha Williams should walk away, should keep her head down, keep her job. The eviction notice in her locker says she can't afford to lose this paycheck. But Eleanor's hands are shaking. Ma'am! Kesha steps forward, ignoring Jake's glare. Pop your hood. I'll take a look. Kesha, what did I just say? Jake's face reddens. Eleanor's eyes meet Kesha's, gratitude mixed with something else, something that looks almost like recognition. Thank you, child, Eleanor whispers. Jake storms over. You're fired. Get out, both of you. As Kesha kneels beside Eleanor's Honda, she doesn't know she's just changed everything. Eleanor Hayes isn't who she appears to be. And tonight, someone very powerful is going to learn what happened here. The fluorescent light in Kesha's studio apartment flickers like a dying heartbeat. She stares at the pink eviction notice taped to her door. 72 hours to vacate. The ramen noodles grow cold in her lap as she counts the crumpled bills from her wallet. $43. Not even enough for a security deposit anywhere else. Her phone buzzes, a text from her younger brother Marcus at community college. Can you send money for textbooks? I'm sorry to ask. Kesha deletes the message without responding. How can she explain that helping one old lady just cost her everything? Across town, Eleanor Hayes sits in her modest ranch house, surrounded by photos she's kept hidden for years. Her late husband William at the ribbon cutting for their first auto shop in 1978. Robert in his graduation cap. A faded newspaper clipping. Hayes Automotive Group reaches 500 locations. She traces the edge of a frame holding Robert's wedding photo, her finger stopping on his face. When did her son's company become so cold? When did profitable replace principled? Eleanor picks up her phone, then sets it down. Pick it up again. This call will change everything. But that mechanic's kindness demands action. Meanwhile, Jake Morrison slides into the leather booth at Murphy's bar, already 3 beers deep. The other shop managers lean in as he brags. Cleaned house today, Jake laughs, foam on his upper lip. Get rid of dead weight. That bleeding heart mechanic thought she could play Mother Teresa on company time. The black girl? Asks Tommy from East Side Auto. Yeah, she came by earlier looking for work. I told her we don't need any troublemakers. Exactly. Jake raises his beer. Word gets around fast. She'll be flipping burgers by next week. The men clink glasses, unaware that Eleanor's phone call is already in motion. She dials the familiar number. It rings once. Mom? It's late. Is everything okay? Robert's voice carries concern, love, and the weight of running an empire. Eleanor closes her eyes, remembering the little boy who cried when his hamster died, who gave his lunch money to homeless people. Robert, I need you to listen carefully. Today I visited one of your shops. Which one? I'll have someone check. Brighton Auto Repair on Morrison Street. Eleanor's voice hardens. A young woman named Kesha Williams was fired today for helping me. Silence stretches across the line. Robert Hayes, CEO of a billion-dollar corporation, suddenly sounds like a 10-year-old boy. Mom, what exactly happened? As Eleanor explains, Kesha walks the dark streets, past pawn shops and check-cashing stores, toward the 24-hour laundromat where she can sit without buying anything. The city buses have stopped running, and she can't afford the gas to drive nowhere. Her reflection in the shop windows looks ghostly, defeated. Is this what doing the right thing gets you? A police cruiser slows beside her. The officer rolls down his window. You okay, miss? It's pretty late to be walking alone. Yes, sir, just heading home. The lie comes easily. Home. What a joke. The cruiser pulls away, and Kesha keeps walking. She doesn't see the black town car that drives past twice, its elderly passenger studying her face through tinted windows. Eleanor hangs up from her 20-minute call with Robert. Her son's shock evolved into anger, then into the cold determination she recognized from his father. "I'll handle this, Mom, but are you sure you want to—" "Yes," Eleanor had interrupted. "That girl showed me more respect in 5 minutes than your manager showed in his entire life. And Robert, there's something else you should know about what I saw today." Now Eleanor sits in her quiet house, thinking about tomorrow. About justice delayed but not denied. About a young woman who chose kindness over self-preservation. Outside, sprinklers whisper across perfect lawns in this neighborhood where Eleanor chooses to live simply, despite her means. Where no one suspects that the woman who clips coupons and drives a 12-year-old Honda could change their world with one phone call. She opens her laptop and searches. Kesha Williams, Brighton Auto. The first result makes her smile grimly. Someone posted a video of today's confrontation to social media. Already hundreds of comments are flooding in. The revolution has begun. Eleanor picks up her phone one more time. She has other calls to make tonight. The next morning hits Kesha like a sledgehammer. Her landlord, Mr. Peterson, stands in the hallway, arms crossed, watching as she stuffs her few belongings into garbage bags. "I'm sorry, kid. You seem like good people, but I got bills, too." His voice carries genuine regret. "You can store your stuff in the basement for a week, but after that—" Kesha nods, swallowing the lump in her throat. 3 interviews yesterday, 3 rejections. Word travels fast in this business. Jake Morrison made sure of that. "Mr. Peterson, if I can get the money by Friday, honey, you'd need $800 plus late fees." He shakes his head. "I've given you every extension I can." As Peterson walks away, Kesha slides down the wall until she's sitting on the dirty carpet. Her phone buzzes with another text from Marcus. "Sis, you okay? Haven't heard from you." She types and deletes a dozen responses before settling on, "Everything's fine. Focus on school." The lie tastes bitter. On the other side of town, Eleanor kneels beside William's grave at Riverside Cemetery. The morning dew soaks through her pants, but she doesn't care. She needs to talk to the man who started it all.
"You always said character shows when nobody's watching,"
she whispers to the granite headstone. "Well, Will, I was watching yesterday, and what I saw would break your heart." The wind rustles through the oak trees William planted here 20 years ago. Eleanor remembers his words from their first shop. "We're not just fixing cars, Elle. We're taking care of people when they're vulnerable." Our son built something big, Will. 847 locations now. But somewhere along the way, we lost what you started. Eleanor's voice cracks. "That girl, Kesha, she reminded me of you. Same heart. Same willingness to do right, even when it costs everything." A jogger passes by, earbuds in, oblivious to the woman making promises to the dead. Eleanor stands, brushing dirt from her knees. She has work to do. Back at Brighton Auto, Jake arrives whistling, coffee in hand, ready for another profitable day. What he doesn't know is that the corporation called an hour ago. What he doesn't know is that Robert Hayes barely slept, spending the night reviewing personnel files and discrimination complaints. "Morning, boss," calls Miguel, the junior mechanic. "It feels weird without Kesha here. She was the best diagnostic we had." Jake's good mood sours. "That bleeding heart? You're better off without her. Now we can focus on paying customers instead of charity cases." Miguel exchanges glances with Tony, the other mechanic. They've both been on the receiving end of Jake's jokes about their accents, their neighborhoods, their families. Yesterday felt different, though. More vicious, more personal. "Boss," Tony says carefully, "that lady Kesha helped." She seemed really grateful. Maybe sometimes it's worth what? Losing money? Jake slams his coffee down. You two want to join her in the unemployment line? Because I can arrange that real quick. The men return to their work in uncomfortable silence. Neither notices the black sedan that parks across the street or the well-dressed man inside taking photos of the shop. Kesha sits in the public library, laptop open to job search sites. Every automotive shop within 30 miles shows the same response. Position filled, not hiring. Try again later. She recognizes the pattern. In a small industry, one bad word from Jake Morrison travels fast. Her savings account reads $23.47. Her phone has 17 missed calls from bill collectors. The library's free Wi-Fi is a lifeline she can't afford to lose. "Excuse me," says the librarian, Mrs. Carter, approaching quietly. "I couldn't help but notice. Are you okay, honey?" Kesha forces a smile. "Just job hunting. It's tough out there." Mrs. Carter sits down, lowering her voice. "My nephew owns a garage in the next county. It's about an hour drive, but he pays fair wages. Treats people right." Hope flickers in Kesha's chest. "That would be amazing. Could you—" "Already called him," Mrs. Carter smiles. "He wants to meet you tomorrow at 2. Said anyone who helps strangers for free is exactly who he needs." As Kesha writes down the address, she doesn't notice Eleanor Hayes entering the library. Doesn't see the older woman pause at the sight of her, then quietly approach Mrs. Carter afterward. "Excuse me," Eleanor says softly. "That young woman who was just here, does she come in often?" Mrs. Carter studies Eleanor carefully. Something in the older woman's eyes speaks of shared concern rather than idle curiosity. "She's going through a hard time," Mrs. Carter says finally. "But she's a good person, the kind who'd give their last dollar to help someone else." Eleanor nods, understanding more than Mrs. Carter realizes. "Yes," she whispers. "I know exactly who she is." The Hayes Automotive Group headquarters rises 30 floors above downtown, its glass facade reflecting the morning sun like a beacon of corporate power. Eleanor's modest Honda looks absurd in the visitor parking lot, dwarfed by BMWs and Mercedes that cost more than most people's annual salary. She takes the executive elevator to the 28th floor, her keycard still working after all these years. The receptionist, Amanda, looks up with practiced politeness that melts into genuine warmth. "Mrs. Hayes! What a lovely surprise! Mr. Hayes is in his office." "Thank you, dear. I'll find my way." Eleanor walks through corridors lined with awards and photographs chronicling the company's growth. Employer of the Year 2019. Community Partner Excellence Award. The irony tastes bitter in her mouth. Robert's corner office overlooks the entire city. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame a view that cost $8 million and commands respect from every visitor. Behind the mahogany desk, her son looks every inch the CEO. Tailored suit, confident posture, the kind of presence that makes stock prices rise. But when he sees his mother, Robert Hayes becomes a worried son. "Mom." He crosses the room in 3 strides, embracing her. "I've been up all night thinking about your call. Tell me everything." Eleanor settles into the leather chair across from his desk, the same chair where senators and governors have sat, where billion-dollar deals have been negotiated. Today, it holds a 72-year-old woman seeking justice for a stranger. "Yesterday, I decided to test something," Eleanor begins. "I dressed down, drove my old car to Brighton Auto Repair. I wanted to see how your people treat customers who can't afford premium service." Robert's face darkens. "And?" "Your manager, Jake Morrison, wouldn't even look at my brake problem. Told me to go somewhere else because I didn't look profitable enough." Eleanor's voice remains steady, but her hands clench. "Then this young mechanic, Kesha Williams, stayed after hours to help me. For free. And your manager fired her for it." The silence stretches between them. Through the windows, the city bustles below, unaware that an empire's soul hangs in the balance. Mom, I had to legally pull Morrison's file this morning. 3 discrimination complaints in 2 years, all dismissed because victims couldn't afford lawyers. Robert's jaw tightens. How did we let this happen? Eleanor stands, moving to the wall of family photos. There's William at the first shop opening, hands dirty from honest work. There's young Robert in coveralls, learning to change oil before he learned to read financial statements. Your father used to say, "We're not in the car business, Robbie. We're in the dignity business." Eleanor touches the frame. When did we forget that? Robert joins her in the photos, both staring at the man who started with one shop and a simple principle: treat every customer like family. What do you want me to do, Mom? Eleanor turns to face her son. In her eyes, he sees the same determination that built this company from nothing. I want you to remember who you used to be. That little boy who cried when we had to foreclose on the Johnsons' farm, who insisted we hire Maria even though she couldn't speak English well. Eleanor's voice strengthens. I want the Hayes Automotive Group to mean something again. And Morrison? Justice, Robert. Swift and the public. Eleanor moves toward the door, then pauses. Oh, and that young woman, Kesha Williams. I want you to meet her. Today, if possible. Mom, we can't just... Eleanor's smile stops him cold. It's the same smile she wore when she convinced the bank to loan them money for their second shop. The same smile that preceded every major victory in the company's history. Trust me, son. Some battles are worth fighting exactly the way they need to be fought. As the elevator carries Eleanor down 30 floors, she thinks about Kesha, probably still searching for work that Jake Morrison's vendetta makes impossible to find. Not for much longer. Robert Hayes doesn't waste time. Within 2 hours of his mother's visit, a team of corporate investigators arrives at Brighton Auto Repair in an unmarked van. They pose as customers, hidden cameras recording every interaction, every dismissive glance, every moment that reveals Jake Morrison's true character. Meanwhile, Kesha drives her sputtering Toyota toward Carter's Automotive in the next county, hope and desperation warring in her chest. The gas gauge hovers near empty. She's burning her last $10 on this interview. If it doesn't work out, she forces the thought away. It has to work out. Robert watches the live feed from his office, his investigators' hidden cameras revealing a shop culture that makes his stomach turn. Jake berates Miguel for speaking Spanish to a customer, dismisses an elderly man with a hearing aid, quotes inflated prices to anyone who looks vulnerable. Get me everything, Robert tells his head of security, Marcus Webb. Personnel files, customer complaints, financial records. I want to know every corner Jake Morrison has cut, every person he's hurt. Sir, with respect, Marcus says carefully, moving this fast without proper legal review could expose the company to... Marcus! Robert's voice carries the quiet authority that makes stock markets listen. My mother tested our values yesterday, and we failed. How many other customers have we failed? How many employees like Kesha Williams have we destroyed for doing the right thing? Webb nods, understanding. Some things matter more than legal caution. At Carter's Automotive, Kesha meets David Carter, Mrs. Carter's nephew. He's younger than she expected, maybe 35, with calloused hands and oil under his fingernails, a real mechanic who worked his way up. My aunt says you fixed someone's brakes for free and got fired for it, David says, wiping his hands on a shop rag. Is that true? Yes, sir. Probably not the smartest career move. David laughs. Depends on how you define smart. Show me what you know. He leads her to a 2015 Camry with a mysterious engine knock. Kesha pops the hood, listens to the engine, runs her hands along components with the practiced touch of someone who speaks car fluently. Timing chain tensioner, she says after 3 minutes. Probably has 60,000 miles on it. The sound started subtle and got worse over the last month, especially on cold starts. David's eyebrows rise. How'd you know the mileage? Wear pattern on the tensioner housing. Plus the owner keeps up with oil changes. I can tell from the condition of everything else. Someone who maintains their car wouldn't ignore a major problem, so this just developed. You're hired. The words hit Kesha like a physical blow. Sir? 45 an hour, health benefits after 90 days, and you can start Monday. My aunt was right. Anyone who gets fired for helping people is exactly who I want working here. Kesha feels tears threatening. Mr. Carter, Thank you. You have no idea what this means. Actually, I do. David's expression grows serious. I got blacklisted once too, for refusing to overcharge a single mother. It took me 2 years to find someone willing to give me a chance. Now I get to be that someone for you. As Kesha drives home, actually home, because now she has income again, she doesn't notice the black sedan following at a discreet distance. Doesn't see Eleanor Hayes in the passenger seat, making notes in a leather portfolio. She's exactly what I hoped, Eleanor tells her driver James, who's worked for the family for 15 years. Skilled, honest, and resilient. Robert needs to meet her before we proceed. Ma'am, if I may ask, why not just promote her directly? Mr. Hayes could offer her any position in the company. Eleanor smiles, watching Kesha's battered Toyota navigate traffic with careful precision. Because charity creates dependence, James. Opportunity creates transformation. There's a difference. Back at Hayes Automotive Headquarters, Robert's investigators deliver their preliminary findings. The evidence against Jake Morrison fills 3 binders: discriminatory hiring practices, customer complaints buried by regional management, financial irregularities that suggest kickbacks from parts suppliers. But it's the video footage that seals Jake's fate. Hidden cameras captured him referring to Miguel as that Mexican and Tony as the other one. Recorded him telling a customer that we don't do welfare work here when an elderly woman asked about payment plans. Most damaging of all, footage of Jake bragging to other shop managers about his cleaning house strategy, specifically targeting employees who showed too much sympathy for difficult customers. This is systematic, Robert tells his legal team. It's not just Brighton Auto. It's spreading through our entire franchise system. His phone rings. Eleanor's name appears on the caller ID. Mom, how's your investigation proceeding? Worse than we thought. Morrison infected other managers with his approach. We're looking at potential lawsuits from dozens of customers and former employees. Good, Eleanor says, surprising him. I mean, it's terrible what's happened, but good that you're seeing the full scope. Robert, I need you to do something else for me. Anything. Tomorrow morning, I want you to visit Carter's Automotive. There's someone I want you to meet. Robert frowns. Mom, I don't understand. Trust me. Wear casual clothes. No entourage, no corporate cars. Just you being human for an hour. The line goes quiet. Robert stares out his office windows at the city below, thinking about his father's legacy and his mother's mysterious requests. What aren't you telling me, Mom? Eleanor's laugh carries decades of love and wisdom. I'm telling you everything you need to know, when you need to know it. Just like your father used to do. That evening, Kesha calls her brother Marcus for the first time in 3 days. Sis, I was getting worried. I got a job, Marcus. A good one, with benefits. The silence stretches across the phone line before Marcus whoops loud enough to wake his dorm mates. Kesha, that's amazing. I knew something good would happen. You always land on your feet. She doesn't tell him about sleeping in her car for 2 nights. Doesn't mention the interviews where potential employers hung up the moment they called Jake Morrison for references. Some victories are private, too precious to share even with family.
How are the textbooks coming?
She asks instead. Don't worry about that now. You just focus on your new job. But Kesha's already planning. First paycheck goes to rent and food. Second paycheck catches up bills. Third paycheck, maybe finally helps her little brother chase his dreams without carrying her weight too. Outside her new temporary apartment, a studio David Carter helped her find, Kesha doesn't notice the black town car parked across the street or the elderly woman inside making one more phone call.
Robert,
Eleanor says quietly,
tomorrow is going to change everything. For all of us.
Monday morning at Carter's Automotive feels like stepping into a different universe. David greets Kesha with fresh coffee and a genuine smile. Miguel shows her the diagnostic equipment without condescension. This place runs differently, Miguel explains. David actually listens when customers talk. Crazy concept, right? Kesha's first customer is Maria Santos, whose minivan makes grinding noises. Instead of rushing to expensive assumptions, Kesha takes time to listen. 3 kids, husband working 2 jobs, vehicle that needs to last 2 more years. Let me check the simple stuff first, Kesha says gently. 15 minutes later, she's tightening a loose heat shield vibrating against the exhaust pipe. Total cost, $0. Maria's relief fills the service bay like sunlight. Most places would have told me I needed a new exhaust system, Maria says, tears in her eyes. Most places don't care about families like yours. We do. By lunch, word spreads through social media. Maria posts, finally found a shop that treats working families with respect. 3 shares become 30, then 300. Eleanor Hayes sits in her kitchen, reading the morning paper and monitoring Hayes Automotive Group stock prices. Steady, profitable, respectable. Everything looks normal from the outside. Her phone shows 17 missed calls from Jake Morrison. She deletes the voicemails without listening. Robert Hayes spends his lunch break driving past Carter's Automotive, following his mother's mysterious instructions. The small shop looks honest. No flashy signage, no pressure tactics. Through the service bay doors, he glimpses a young black woman explaining something to an elderly customer with patience and expertise. Something about her careful attention reminds him of his father's first employees. People who cared more about the work than the paycheck. He drives away without stopping, but Eleanor's plan is already working. At Brighton Auto Repair, Jake Morrison feels the walls closing in. The corporate called twice asking about routine inspection schedules. His regional supervisor mentioned customer satisfaction audits that never existed before. Tonight, he'll discover just how much his world is about to change. The call comes at 8 a.m. sharp. Jake Morrison answers his phone with the confidence of a man who believes his world is secure. Morrison, this is Regional Director Patterson. Congratulations. Corporate is promoting you to District Manager. You'll oversee 15 shops across 3 counties. Jake's grin could power the city. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. Pack up today. You start at headquarters Monday. And Morrison, keep doing whatever you've been doing. Your profit margins are exactly what we want company-wide. As Jake hangs up, he doesn't know that Patterson received his orders directly from someone who wants Jake Morrison in the perfect position for a very public fall. 2 counties away, Kesha's second week at Carter's Automotive brings a steady stream of satisfied customers. Word of mouth travels fast when competence meets compassion. She's rebuilding her reputation one honest diagnosis at a time. But Jake's promotion means his poisonous influence is about to spread. By Wednesday, he's holding district manager meetings, teaching other shop managers his efficiency methods. Customer sympathy is a profit killer, he tells a room of 20 managers. Sad stories don't pay rent. You start making exceptions for sob cases, word gets out that you're a pushover. In the back row, Tom Bradley from Westside Auto shifts uncomfortably. What about community relations? Customer loyalty? Jake's laugh is sharp as broken glass. Loyalty? These people drive 10-year-old cars and complain about $50 repairs. They'll take their business wherever it's cheapest. Might as well get full price while they're here. The managers exchange glances. Some nod agreement. Others look sick. I cleaned a house in Brighton last month, Jake continues. Fired a mechanic who thought she could play Mother Teresa with company resources. Now my team stays focused on paying customers. Eleanor Hayes watches this meeting through a hidden camera, her face stone cold with fury. The investigators Webb hired captured every word, every callous laugh, every moment of institutional cruelty being codified into corporate policy. She calls Robert immediately. "He's teaching them," she says without preamble. "Your new district manager is spreading his disease to 15 shops. How many Keshas will suffer because we waited too long?" Robert stares at the live feed on his computer screen. Jake Morrison stands before 24 shop managers like a general addressing troops, weaponizing prejudice and calling it business strategy. "Mom, I can stop this right now." "No." Eleanor's voice cuts sharp. "Let him dig deeper. Let him train more people in his methods. Let him feel safe enough to show his true face." "But the damage?" "Will be evidence, Robert. When we're done, no one will ever doubt why Jake Morrison deserved what happened to him."
Thursday brings Jake's first surprise inspection to Carter's Automotive. He arrives in a Hayes Automotive Group sedan, clipboard in hand, looking for any excuse to destroy David Carter's operation. "You the owner?" Jake asks David, his tone suggesting ownership is somehow suspicious. "Yes, sir. How can I help you?" "District inspection. I'll need to see your books, employee records, and customer satisfaction scores." David complies, but Jake's already decided his verdict. He watches Kesha work with obvious recognition, his smile turning predatory. "That mechanic," Jake points at Kesha. "She looks familiar." "Kesha Williams, best diagnostic tech I've ever seen." "Interesting." Jake makes notes that will damn them all. "Very interesting." After Jake leaves, Kesha feels the familiar chill of impending disaster. She's seen that look before, the look of a man with power and a grudge. "David, I need to tell you something," she begins, but her boss waves her off.
"Whatever it is, we'll handle it. Your family here." Friday afternoon, the trap springs shut. David receives an official notice. Carter's Automotive is under investigation for irregular employment practices and potential safety violations. Effective immediately, all Hayes Automotive Group partnerships and referrals are suspended. For a small shop, losing Hayes backing means losing 40% of business overnight. "I'm sorry," Kesha tells David, guilt eating her alive. "This is because of me, because I helped that woman and Jake Morrison wants revenge." David studies the corporate letterhead, then looks at his newest employee, the woman who's increased their customer satisfaction scores by 30% in 2 weeks. "Kesha, let me tell you something about revenge. It only works when you care more about hurting others than helping yourself." He crumples the letter. Jake Morrison just picked a fight with the wrong family. That evening, Eleanor Hayes receives her daily report from the investigators. Jake Morrison's first week as district manager includes 3 shops adopting his discriminatory customer screening, 2 mechanics fired for excessive empathy, and 1 shop owner threatened for employing someone Jake personally dislikes. She calls Robert one final time. "Tomorrow," she says simply. "It's time." "Mom, are you sure? Once we do this, your father didn't build this company so people like Jake Morrison could destroy lives for sport." Eleanor's voice carries decades of accumulated wisdom and steel. "Tomorrow we remind everyone what Hayes Automotive Group actually stands for." Saturday morning, Jake Morrison arrives at headquarters early, planning to finalize his campaign against Carter's Automotive. He wants Kesha Williams unemployable, David Carter bankrupt, and everyone else in his district to understand the cost of crossing him. He has no idea that his victims aren't victims at all. Has no clue that the elderly woman whose car trouble started this war is already in the building, waiting in the boardroom where his career will die. Eleanor Hayes sits at the head of the conference table, surrounded by legal documents, video evidence, and a lifetime of patient fury finally finding its target. "Good morning, Mr. Morrison," she practiced saying to the empty room. "I believe we have some business to discuss." Outside, the city awakens to what seems like an ordinary Saturday. Inside Hayes Automotive Group headquarters, justice sharpens its claws and prepares to pounce. Jake Morrison's reign of cruelty ends in 18 hours. He just doesn't know it yet. Saturday evening, Eleanor Hayes drives her old Honda to Carter's Automotive. Through the service bay windows, she spots Kesha under the hood of a customer's truck, movements precise and confident. When Kesha emerges, wiping her hands on a shop rag, Eleanor approaches slowly. "Excuse me, dear?" Kesha turns, then stops cold. The elderly woman from Brighton Auto Repair stands before her, dressed simply but somehow different, more purposeful. "Ma'am, is everything okay with your car?" Eleanor smiles. "My car runs perfectly, thanks to you. I never got to properly thank you." "You don't need to thank me. Anyone would have—" "No," Eleanor interrupts gently. "Not anyone. Very few people would risk their job to help a stranger." At Murphy's Diner across the street, Eleanor orders pie while Kesha nurses coffee. "Can I ask you something?" Eleanor says carefully. "That manager who fired you, has he caused trouble for other people?" Kesha's laugh is bitter. "Jake Morrison? He's got a whole system. Targets anyone who doesn't fit his idea of profitable customers. Miguel told me Jake had 3 mechanics fired from different shops for attitude problems." "What kind of attitude problems?" "Helping people Jake thought were beneath notice. Spanish-speaking customers, elderly folks, single mothers counting pennies." Kesha's anger builds. "He calls it maintaining standards, but it's just cruelty with a business plan." Eleanor listens, taking mental notes that will become evidence. "Has anyone tried to complain?" "To who?" "Jake's got connections throughout the district. Corporate only cares about profit margins." Kesha stirs her coffee absently. "People like us don't have lawyers or influence." "People like us," Eleanor repeats thoughtfully. "Sometimes help comes from unexpected places." Meanwhile, at Hayes Automotive Group headquarters, Robert Hayes works through the night with his investigative team. The evidence against Jake Morrison continues mounting. 17 documented cases of discriminatory treatment, 6 wrongful termination lawsuits settled quietly, and financial irregularities spanning 3 years. The hidden camera footage from district meetings provides the smoking gun. Jake's own words, teaching other managers to target vulnerable customers and employees. "Sir," Marcus Webb reports, "Morrison's got supporters in regional management covering for him. Regional Director Patterson buried discrimination complaints. District Supervisor Collins took kickbacks from parts suppliers Morrison recommended." Robert studies the organizational chart, red lines connecting corruption throughout the system. How deep? Systematic. This isn't just one bad manager. At 2 a.m., Robert calls his mother. She answers immediately. "How did it go with Kesha?" "She confirmed everything we suspected and worse." "Robert, this isn't just about Jake Morrison. It's about a culture that rewards cruelty and punishes compassion." "I know, Mom. We've got enough evidence to clean the house completely." "Good. Tomorrow, we're going to send a message to the entire industry." Eleanor's voice carries absolute determination. "Is the boardroom ready?" "Everything's prepared." "Everything's." "Full board attendance, media invited, legal team standing by." "And Jake?" "Believes he's being honored for outstanding performance. He'll arrive at 10 a.m. expecting a promotion." Eleanor's smile is sharp as winter moonlight. "Perfect. Make sure Kesha Williams gets an invitation to the meeting. Personal delivery tonight." "Mom, what are you planning?" "Justice, dear. The kind your father would have demanded." As Robert hangs up, he feels the weight of legacy settling on his shoulders. Tomorrow will either redeem Hayes Automotive Group or destroy everything his parents built. But watching Jake Morrison's recorded confession loop on his computer screen, he knows some choices make themselves. An hour later, Marcus Webb arrives at Kesha's apartment with an official invitation. "Hayes Automotive Group Board Meeting. Your presence requested. 10 a.m. Sunday." Kesha stares at the letterhead, confused. I don't understand. Why would they want me there? Ma'am, I'm just delivering the message, but I will say this. Tomorrow's going to be a day that changes everything. Eleanor drives home through empty streets, thinking about Kesha's words. People like us don't have lawyers or influence. Tomorrow, she'll prove that wrong. In his luxury apartment, Jake Morrison sleeps soundly, dreaming of corner offices and executive parking spaces. He has no idea that 17 victims of his cruelty will be watching as his career dies in the most public way possible. Some justice is swift. Some justice is brutal. Tomorrow's justice will be both. Sunday morning, 9:45 a.m. Jake Morrison struts through the marble lobby of Hayes Automotive Group headquarters like a man walking into his destiny. His new suit cost more than most mechanics make in a month, and his confidence radiates from every step. The boardroom on the 30th floor buzzes with energy. Board members, regional managers, and invited media fill leather chairs around the massive conference table. Jake spots the cameras and grins. Corporate must want to document his promotion for the company newsletter. He doesn't notice Kesha Williams sitting in the back corner, still confused about why she's here. Doesn't see the thin, elderly woman in a simple black dress positioned near the head of the table. "Ladies and gentlemen," announces Robert Hayes, stepping to the podium, "thank you for joining us this morning for what promises to be a historic announcement regarding the future direction of Hayes Automotive Group." Jake straightens his tie, ready for his moment of triumph. "First, I'd like to introduce someone very special. Many of you know her as the widow of our founder, but today she speaks as a Hayes Automotive Group stakeholder with a 60% controlling interest." Eleanor Hayes rises slowly, her presence commanding the room without effort. Several board members shift uncomfortably. They forgot the quiet woman in the corner holds the real power. "My late husband, William, founded this company on a simple principle," Eleanor begins, her voice carrying to every corner. "Character isn't tested in boardrooms, it's proven on garage floors." Jake's smile falters slightly. Something feels wrong. 3 weeks ago, I decided to test that principle. I dressed down, drove my oldest car to one of our Brighton locations, and presented myself as a customer in need. Eleanor's eyes find Jake in the audience. Recognition dawns on his face like sunrise over a cemetery. I was dismissed, ridiculed, and turned away because I didn't appear profitable enough for our company's attention. The room grows silent. Media cameras swing toward Jake, whose face has gone pale as winter. "But one employee," Eleanor continues, "stayed after hours to help a stranger for free. Kesha Williams risked her job to uphold the values this company was founded on." Kesha's heart pounds as hundreds of eyes turn toward her. Eleanor's gentle nod gives her strength. For this act of kindness, our then-manager Jake Morrison fired Ms. Williams immediately. Murmurs ripple through the boardroom. Jake starts to stand, but Robert's voice stops him cold. "Mr. Morrison, please remain seated. We have something to show you." The lights dim. A massive screen descends from the ceiling. Jake's voice fills the room, recorded in high definition at last week's district meeting. "Customer sympathy is a profit killer. You start making exceptions for sob cases, word gets out that you're a pushover." Jake's recorded image gestures dismissively. "I cleaned a house in Brighton last month. Fired a mechanic who thought she could play Mother Teresa with company resources." The real Jake Morrison sinks into his chair as his own words condemn him before the entire industry. The video continues. Jake teaches discrimination. Jake mocking vulnerable customers. Jake laughs about destroying lives for profit. When the screen goes dark, the silence is deafening. Eleanor steps forward, her voice now carrying the authority of absolute judgment. "Mr. Morrison, 3 weeks ago you called helping people playing Mother Teresa. Today, I want you to meet the woman whose kindness you punished." She gestures toward Kesha, who stands on trembling legs. "Kesha Williams, would you please join me?" As Kesha walks to the front, Eleanor's voice continues. "This young woman embodies everything Hayes Automotive Group should represent: skill, integrity, compassion.
Eleanor pauses, letting the moment build. Mr. Morrison, I believe you two have met. Jake's face crumbles as the full scope of his disaster becomes clear. The old woman he dismissed, the mechanic he fired, the company he thought he controlled, all connected in a web of consequences he never saw coming.
Jake Morrison, Robert announces formally, you are terminated immediately. Legal proceedings for discrimination, fraud, and violation of company ethics will begin Monday. Security guards appear at Jake's shoulders. As they escort him out, Eleanor delivers the final blow. Mr. Morrison, the elderly customer you turned away 3 weeks ago? The one whose car trouble wasn't profitable enough for your attention? Eleanor's smile is sharp as justice itself. That was me, the mother of the man who just ended your career. Jake's legs give out. Security has to carry him from the room as media cameras capture every moment of his humiliation. Eleanor turns back to the assembled crowd, her voice warming as she addresses Kesha. Ms. Williams, on behalf of Hayes Automotive Group, I offer you the position of Regional Customer Relations Director. Your job will be ensuring that every customer, regardless of their appearance or apparent means, receives the dignity and respect that my husband envisioned. The room erupts in applause. Kesha feels tears streaming down her face as Eleanor approaches with an embrace that smells like lavender and justice. But why? Kesha whispers. Why go through all this for someone like me? Eleanor pulls back, her eyes bright with unshed tears. Because, dear child, character isn't about who you help when cameras are watching. It's about who you help when you think nobody's looking. She pauses, her voice carrying across the silent room. But somebody's always looking, and sometimes that somebody has the power to make things right. Robert joins them at the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, effective immediately, Hayes Automotive Group is implementing the Williams Protocol, a company-wide mandate that every customer interaction be guided by compassion first, profit second. The media surges forward with questions. Board members line up to shake hands. Regional managers who enabled Jake Morrison quietly slip toward the exits, knowing their own reckonings approach. But in the center of the storm, two women stand together. One who gave everything to help a stranger, one who had everything to give back. Mrs. Hayes, Kesha says softly, I still don't understand how you knew I was the right person for this job. Eleanor's smile carries decades of hard-won wisdom. Child, I didn't choose you for this job. You chose yourself the moment you stayed late to fix an old woman's brakes. Outside, Jake Morrison sits in his car in the parking garage, staring at his phone buzzing with reporters' calls. His corporate credit cards are already canceled. His company car will be repossessed by evening. His reputation in the automotive industry is destroyed forever. He thinks about the old woman whose brake problem started this avalanche, wonders what his life would look like now if he'd simply shown her basic human decency. But some lessons come too late to matter. In the boardroom, Kesha Williams signs paperwork that will transform not just her life, but the lives of every vulnerable customer who walks into a Hayes Automotive Group location. Justice tastes like tears and redemption. And sometimes, that's exactly what the world needs. 3 months later, Brighton Auto Repair buzzes with transformed energy. Miguel leads a team of 5 mechanics, all trained in the Williams Protocol, competence paired with compassion. The waiting area features comfortable chairs, fresh coffee, and a children's corner where families can relax while honest work happens. Kesha walks through the shop on her monthly inspection, watching genuine care in action. Tony explains brake options to an elderly gentleman with infinite patience. Sarah, the new hire, helps a young mother understand why her transmission problems aren't as expensive as she feared. How are we doing? David Carter asks, joining Kesha near the service bay. As regional training coordinator, he ensures the culture change sticks across all Hayes locations. Better than anyone hoped, Kesha smiles. Customer satisfaction is up 47%. Employee retention at an all-time high. Profits actually improved when we stopped chasing quick scores and started building relationships. Eleanor Hayes emerges from her Honda, the same car, still running perfectly. She's become a regular customer at every Hayes location, a living reminder of why kindness matters. "Mrs. Hayes," Miguel calls cheerfully. "Right on time for your oil change." "And I brought cookies," Eleanor announces, producing a tin that makes the entire crew gather around like grateful grandchildren. As Eleanor settles into the waiting area, Kesha joins her with decent coffee. "Any regrets?" Eleanor asks gently. Kesha considers seriously. Her new position comes with challenges: changing entrenched attitudes, implementing training programs, dealing with franchise owners who resist cultural shift. "Jake Morrison got 18 months for fraud and discrimination charges," Kesha says finally. "His enablers were fired. 17 wrongfully terminated employees have been compensated and offered positions." Eleanor nods. "That's justice. But I asked about regrets." Kesha watches Tony teaching the new apprentice proper diagnostics, sees Sarah helping a customer understand financing options, and observes Miguel treating every person with dignity. "No regrets," she says firmly. "This is exactly where I'm supposed to be." Eleanor's smile carries deep satisfaction. "Your brother called yesterday. Graduating summa cum laude, accepted to engineering school with full scholarship." "Eleanor, you didn't—" "The Williams Family Foundation supports deserving students. Marcus earned every penny through merit." Eleanor's eyes twinkle. "Though having a sister who embodies integrity certainly didn't hurt his application." As Eleanor's Honda receives the same careful attention given to luxury cars, Kesha realizes this is what revolution looks like. Not grand gestures, but daily choices to treat people as human beings deserving respect. Outside, the Hayes Automotive Group sign gleams in afternoon sunlight, but the real change lives in the hearts of people who remember what service truly means. Some victories aren't measured in profit margins, but in the dignity restored to strangers who just needed help. 1 year later, Kesha Williams stands before a packed auditorium at the National Automotive Service Excellence Conference, accepting the Community Impact Award on behalf of Hayes Automotive Group. "This award doesn't belong to me," she says into the microphone. "It belongs to everyone who believes that kindness and competence aren't opposites. They're partners." In the audience, Eleanor Hayes sits in the front row, her proud smile brighter than the stage lights. Beside her, Robert records every word for all 847 Hayes locations worldwide. "A year ago, I was fired for helping someone I thought was just another struggling customer," Kesha continues. "Today, that customer is my mentor and the woman who proved that sometimes angels drive old Hondas." The audience laughs as Eleanor's eyes glisten with tears. "The Williams Protocol isn't revolutionary because it's new. It's revolutionary because we forgot that treating people with dignity used to be normal." As applause thunders through the auditorium, Eleanor stands slowly, joined by 800 automotive professionals who finally understand what her husband knew 50 years ago. Later, Kesha finds Eleanor on the hotel balcony, looking out at city lights. "Still think about that day?" Eleanor asks softly. "Every day," Kesha admits. "It changed everything." Eleanor takes her hand, weathered fingers intertwining with calloused ones. "No, dear. You changed everything. I just made sure the world noticed." Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes. When you see someone who needs help, remember Kesha's story. Your compassion might be someone's miracle. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Share in the comments. When has unexpected kindness changed your life?